Today we're going to make these wire-wrapped decorative crystal planters. Well, this one here has wooden beads on it and I've just shaped it into a love heart. This one here is probably my favourite one. It's a beautiful little rose quartz crystal and it's not too heavy, sits really well on the end of the wire. This one here is a raw aquamarine crystal and is probably on the heavier side, but if you've got a nice strong wire it can still go okay, but that's probably about the biggest that you want on the end of a piece of wire. Today I'm using the black 16 gauge wire, so I'm going to do this little rose quartz heart first. For this one here I use about 15 inches. So I just measure that out and cut it. Then we can start to wrap our little rose quartz heart. Just straightening out my wire a little bit there, and then I start by making a bend at the end of the wire. This holds the top part of the crystal secure and gives it a bit of an anchor point there just to keep that top part locked in. Then I just work with my wire to bend it across, so I'm bending it across to the right, where I can start to wrap it around the crystal. To hold a crystal in place, it does need to be wrapped around the bottom of the crystal, so I just work with my wire to wrap it around one full loop. Bending your wire around the back and right around the front and then back to the back again. That's when we can bring our wire down nice and straight at the back there. So it's just gone one full loop around the whole crystal at the bottom there, and that gives the crystal something to rest in and holds it nice and secure. You can grab your pliers now and just work with your wires a little bit just to make sure that it is all nice and secure. You don't want your crystal to have any movement there or be able to wiggle around or fall out the bottom or anything like that. So just working with it all, just checking it over and making sure you're happy with it. Next one I'm going to do is a beaded heart. For this one I use a little bit more, so about 16 inches of the 16 gauge wire. And you'd need beads for this that have a big enough hole. So I tried to use some gemstone beads, but unfortunately the holes are not quite big enough. So I've got some wooden beads here with nice big holes. And obviously this end here is going to be where your little heart is. I just start by threading all of my beads on there, and then I'm going to make the heart as I go. The starting point of the wire is actually going to be the bottom of the heart. So you sort of want to just bend it around and start to form the heart shape, just depending on how big you want your heart to be. Then you can just pop the beads on enough to cover the wire on that heart. Just working with your wire to start to form it into the heart there. You can make it more sort of whimsical or symmetrical, or however you like your heart to be. And then we're going to just pop the rest of the beads on and make sure it's all covered in the beads. You do need to leave a little bit of wire at the end just to bend around your other piece of wire to secure it in place. Just using my pliers there to bend that little end piece around the other piece of wire and then crimping it down nice and tight. Then you can bend your stick down straight as well. It should be nice and secure and solid, locked in place. Then you can work with your heart a little bit just to bend it into a more symmetrical shape, or however you like it. The last one is one of these sort of bigger raw crystals. I start with a little bit more for a bigger crystal, so about 17 inches. This is probably about as big as you want to go for a crystal, or else they can end up really top heavy and kind of bending over. But this one I find is still okay. Just figuring out which side up you want your crystal. And then you can grab your wire and just put your little bend on the top. Holding that bend onto the top part of your crystal somewhere, and we're just going to start by bending the wire across. So I bring mine across to the right and then wrap it around the crystal a couple of times. Just bringing it in tighter and smaller as we get towards the bottom there. And this is going around a couple of times and then finishing off at the back there, and then I can bring my wire down straight. It should be held in there quite nice and securely and not be able to go anywhere or not have much movement there. Then you can start popping your little decorative stakes around into your plants and enjoy them.